South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.
Hello. What's this? Are you guys in uniform? Is it
Yeah, is it?
No, we knew we were talking to you. We said better dress up properly and come.
Oh, right. Yes. That's like because the. But congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Because you didn't like you just said thank you because I said congratulations.
That's manners, no?
Right. But do you want to know what I'm congratulating?
Yes, I
you
was going to ask you that next,
right,
but
right. So you guys are on the cusp of like a milestone thing because next year will be 25 years of refugee.
yes.
And next year will be 20 years of Yahan.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
For
it's like
reminding-
5 years, my junior.
Yeah.
Stay in line, okay?
Yeah, I am.
No, so it's like it just seems like this massive milestone in today's time.
Wow,
because,
yeah,
you know,
that's
like
big.
this- Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
still
so how
floating, still
so like
floating.
so let me ask you this question that never been asked in the history of film journalism. How does it feel?
You feel blessed to get to do something that you love for 25 years is a blessing, right?
Right.
I mean, there are so many actors out there, I'm sure far more talented than me, that are still looking for a job, and it's difficult. And to have the privilege of being able to make movies 25 years, I feel very lucky, very blessed. I feel very responsible because it's a big deal. भैया आपके कैमरे के सामने एक पूरा वायर जा रहा है, आपको दिख नहीं रहा है शायद. हाँ. एक्टर के क्लोजअप के सामने वायर है तो वो दिखेगा ना उसको. So
He's a very good assistant director. Keeping all track on what the camera in the front.
it should be, you know.
It should be. He should be. Like he's got 25 years on
Yeah.
him. He better be.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal. Even 20 years of getting the opportunity, people allowing you to make your movies, I think you're very lucky.
Yeah.
And responsible because you realize the responsibility that comes with it. People have bestowed this faith on you and now you need to pay that back.
And what's your
For me, I'm 20 years. I mean, I'm thankful that you reminded me, but I'm slowly getting bored of films.
what?
Watching.
We need to talk. Not I want to talk. We need to talk.
We need to
about-
beat them up also.
Yeah,
I'm getting fed up of films.
Films are not triggering me that much nowadays, so that's why I've started watching less. I really want good films, good content to take in. But let's see. I mean, I am here. I'm in the process. It's not that I have to make another film. If something clicks and something triggers me, and I'm really with it, I may express and do a film. I may do a documentary or on
You
contrary.
did start out with documentary.
I did start off with documentary. So I'm happy that I'm here. This medium is good.
Right.
This medium is definitely good. So I will explore more.
Right, but
I may explore animation also.
okay, but is it also because it's becoming a little difficult to do your kind of film?
No.
It's not that?
I'm seeing less.
Your interest in
Yeah, I'm seeing very less because intellectually I'm not getting that not stimulated enough with kind of films. I'm only watching old films.
Okay.
I am watching old films to get my inspirations. I'm watching Ray's or Disikas or Buñuel. Old films I'm watching. But new films in terms of new thing, I'm just feeling it's quite for me. There's no criticism to anybody.
your
But
opinion.
yeah, I'm feeling it's not giving me enough food for thought.
Yeah. I really liked his last film, Ghumar.
Right.
That was your last release in the theatres, right? And because I've always liked Balki's work.
Yeah.
But suddenly I felt like he's taken a turn to a darker side. Something's triggered in him. And both Chup and Ghumar, and especially Ghumar, was like it really took me by surprise. And there's a line in that किसी से बेवजह कोई कुछ छीना जाए तो वो गलत है. And I felt that your last two movies were taken away from you. वो गलत है because they were like put on OTT and they were not shown in theaters. So
Yeah, I shot that for theaters. I shot both the films. If you see the
Yeah.
canvas of those films that we shot it, but it's an unfortunate situation which we had to go through.
Yeah.
But I wish now that I can re-release the films and really show it to people that how it feels in a theater to watch it in a dark room.
is the appreciation, this is for both of you, is the appreciation you get on an OTT platform the same as that you get in a theater? Is the high the same?
It's different.
It's different.
you probably would get more appreciation on OTT, but it's a different kind of a high. I think success in a theater is more tactile. You know, you feel that.
Yeah.
In OTT, it's more transient, but you get a lot more of it. I've done a fair share on OTT as well as screen, so they're both very different, both weirdly satisfying in their own way. But I feel like, you know, Shoojit said, because of the pandemic, a lot of films that were originally intended for cinema were put onto OTT because that was the only way you could release it. But having worked extensively on both and on web shows as well as movies and like originals for OTT, I think you're catering to a very different audience. And I think now we're just about starting that phase where, depending on which platform you're going to be showing on, you have to write even more minutely for that.
Okay.
I feel the kind of people that would watch an Amazon or a Netflix, or even between the two, is very different as compared to a Z or a Hotstar.
Or an MX or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think writing for, let's just stick to film, let's not get into web series, but writing for an OTT original has to be very different in terms of craft as compared to cinema. Similar to how writing changed from theatre to movies.
Right.
It has to change because over in a movie theatre, once they're invested. Not just financially, they're in that theatre. They don't like it, they'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
Very rarely are they going to get up and walk out because you physically have to do it. On OTT, if it bores you for one scene, you'll take it. 2 scenes, third scene, stop button, they're gone. They probably will never come back to it.
Yeah.
It's about keeping their attention tied into your subject continuously, where cinema will still give you that pace where you can breathe, where you can take a scene or two. So I think they have to be written differently.
Right.
The pandemic should not be counted for judgment in that sense because it was a compulsion at that point of time.
Right.
But going forward, they will be written very differently.
Right.
I mean, similarly to how a daily soap is written as opposed to a limited television series.
Right. So when you say, would you be open to directing an OTT series or a show?
Yeah, of course. I mean, why not? I mean, I did contemplate in terms of directing some, you know, and writing some OTT. But you know, I'm still not used to that format of because you know, I think like a flow, like a 6-hour film. I can think of. I really wanted to make a series on Gandhi, but I couldn't. But I couldn't means one of my friend Hansal Mehta is making it, so then I didn't attempt there. I would definitely want to explore the OTT platform once, yeah, for sure.
Was it always called I Want to Talk? Or
No.
did you have another title?
There was another title.
Yeah, we had many titles, and it was of course we thought the name of the character we will keep it.
Okay.
The first
But-
title was The Picture.
Yeah.
हम लोग वो picture कर रहे हैं.
We didn't know. I mean, we just had kept it on that. But then while I was editing the film, and every day we will see, I mean, I was, you know, cutting and, you know, with my editor, Shekhar. And this particular line that I want to talk, can we talk, let's talk, all that kept on coming. And the character, he himself, but the real character, it's based on a real life. It's a real life character. He's a friend of mine. He loves to talk. So he doesn't love to talk, he lives to talk. So, and I thought then why don't you say I want to, but then I didn't know how people will take it and how people will react to it. But I'm really surprised that it resonated somewhere. I want to talk sounds different, absolutely. But there's a philosophical thing also in I want to talk.
When I first heard the title, it sounded like therapy, like something out of a, you know, some guy going through some profound therapeutic thing. Because
Right.
talking these days is like, we need to talk is not just like,
You got the right thing, absolutely.
yeah, so that's what it sounded like. And
Yeah.
that Jan Kriplani's character kind of sounded that way. So I was like,
Yeah.
thing.
No, you're absolutely right. It's that.
So, you know, what is the difference between I want to talk and I need to talk? Because that's
One. I like that.
like,
I want to talk, I need to talk.
yeah, because
Well,
is it a want or a need for this guy?
it's difficult. He says he wants to talk. He needs to verbalize everything. He needs to communicate. Then for me, even that thought of I need to talk also came up when we were finally writing down the titles. I want to talk, I need to talk. You got the right one. Remember, you picked up the right point. So we went through that discussion also, I need to talk. But then we realized that Arjun, the character's name, and the Arjun Da is, we call him, he said, what are you? You tell me. I want to talk or I need to talk. Then I think he picked up, okay, I want to talk. I said, are you okay? I said, yeah. I said, then we go. Then I bounced it off to him also. I want to talk. So it took us a couple of days to figure out. Then we realized, no, I think we are in the film is actually I want to talk.
In the trailer, there's this line that your character says that her story ka koi purpose hota hai, koi, there's some meaning for every story. So I want to just pick on that. Can't a story just be a story? Does every story need to have a purpose or meaning?
Absolutely. And no story can just be a story.
Okay.
It's a story because it has a purpose and a meaning.
Okay, so let's take Man Marziya.
Yeah.
Loosely speaking, it's a triangular love story, right? What's the purpose or the meaning of it? I mean, it's a story. Why can't it just be a well-narrated romantic story?
No, what I meant to say is when you tell a story, it's told with a purpose. That it could just be just telling a good story, or it could be the morality of the story. The meaning is the learning, the principles, the values, or whatever. So they all are all mixed. You can't separate them.
Right.
You cannot.
You can't just tell a story. You can't just make a film because, oh, let's just make, there's always a beginning, middle, end. There is a character arc, there's poetic justice, there's all of that put into it. For example, like you were saying, Taapsee's character, who's the protagonist of the thing, she's at a juncture of her life where she has to decide which way she sees her life going. Till that particular time, she was going down a particular path, which was justified to her. She didn't really care what other people thought. She finally comes upon another contrarian view, which is embodied by my character, which she said, hey, wait a second, I quite like this as well. And eventually, it goes to show that, okay, this is something that maybe I'm more invested in than what I was before. And maybe that was a bit too frivolous because what I emotionally require now is what this person is fulfilling. So one, for me, it's okay to change your mind is one of the purposes. Nobody is really right is another purpose. You can be perceived as this wild, eccentric person, and then it's okay to change. Nobody can judge you for changing.
Right.
Don't judge a book by its cover, which is Vicky's character. He's flamboyant, he's frivolous, but once he loses her, you realize that, hey, he actually really cared for her.
Yeah.
You don't judge him in the negative. My character, when you see solid, bankable, pun intended, but not emotionless.
Right.
And a big problem I had with Kashyap, I told him, I said, somebody like this who's intelligent, knows what he wants, very definite, he's a banker, so, he's very definitive. He just sees a photo and he says, yeah, I'm in love with her. He said, yeah, but that's the point. There are no rules. You could just see a photo and say, I love her. Karan and I spoke about this when we did Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, where I said, Karan, don't you think it's wrong that Rani's character doesn't love this guy? My character Samir, he's so lovable, he's so nice, he's doing everything for her, he's the ideal husband. He's like, that's the point. He might be ideal in terms of what society defines as ideal, but it just doesn't work for her.
Yeah.
And she actually goes to somebody who's the complete opposite, who's disgruntled, who's cynical, who's bitter in Shah Rukh's character. But it connects.
Yeah.
So who's to say who's right, who's wrong?
Right.
So there doesn't necessarily have to be a purpose and meaning are in every story. Otherwise, it's not a story.
How about Happy New Year?
Entertainment,
Okay.
poetic justice, the underdog achieving, getting what they went out there to get. They all have their own motivation. I want to get my mother operated. Nandu Bhide wants to get his mother operated. See, I can become very cerebral about it all. Certain films don't delve into that aspect of it because they choose a separate path.
Right.
We want to do it in a more perceivedly entertaining
Yeah.
manner that caters to a wide variety and spectrum of audiences. So when that happens, I cannot afford to become very cerebral about it.
Right.
But if you're asking me to break down my characters, Nandu Pire's motivation is I need the money because I want to operate on my mother who needs life-saving operation. And I will do whatever it takes, right? For Shah Rukh's character, it's a revenge story. I'm going to take revenge for what this man did to my father and he ruined me and my family. All those character arcs are there. It's just told in a light-hearted, fun way.
Right.
Because the purpose of the film isn't, okay, it's not, you're not meant to watch Happy New and say, okay, I'm here and I want to really think and
No. I
I
get
want
what
to
you're
go there,
saying.
I want to whistle, I want to laugh, I
Yeah.
want to dance, and that's cinema itself. So all stories have a purpose and a meaning.
What he's talking about is also part of the internal construction of the film, right? Because
I forgot the initial question, I thought.
no,
No,
so it's like,
purpose and meaning.
In every
it's in
story.
there, the trailer, right? The line.
Every story has a purpose, has a meaning.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it important for any story? It can't just be a good story.
So when
So
you
for me,
Ah.
now there are filmmakers who are making fiction feature films,
Right.
and there are filmmakers who are making documentaries. There are filmmakers who are making podcasts. There are filmmakers who are making music videos. So I consider myself that I'm a filmmaker, but I am documenting it somehow.
Right.
So for me, that documenting the life is very important. So when you're documenting something, that means some essence of life you're bringing it there.
Yeah.
And from that essence of life, something which sprout out, which you don't know, which I cannot tell you. I cannot feed you in. I can tell you the listen, this is I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
No, I cannot. I can only bring it in front, like a newspaper
Yeah.
brings the news, right? Now, it depends the writer who's writing that particular news cover, how he is writing that news.
Yeah.
Is he centrist? Is he leftist? Is he rightist? Is he biased? So how he is presenting it, I think that matters in your personality.
Right.
And in the middle page, when you're reading an editorial, and then that editorial writing is completely different. So I think it all boils down to who you person are, what kind of a personality you are, and what you do. So, and it will definitely reflect some kind of what you call morality, I would say.
Right. So when you start a film, you get the idea for like, this is the thing I'm going to make.
Right.
Do you think about characters first? Like, I'm not talking about Sardar Udham, which is a slightly different kind of film, but I'm
Right.
talking about, let's say, from Yahan to, let's say, Bulabo Sitabo, all those other things. Like,
Right.
do you Piku, like, do you think about, you get an inkling of a character and then you
Right.
develop that, or
Right.
do you kind of look at a larger worldview and then distill that into a character?
So it's like that. And in some films,
Dono hote hain.
dono hota hai. Some films is the world which has come first,
Right.
and then I moved into the character.
Right.
And in some films, possibly in this film particularly, is the character which came in first,
And then
then the wrapping around happened. In Sardar Udham, my intention was not about Sardar Udham.
right.
As I said, my intention was the Jallianwala Bagh. I wanted to go to there.
Yeah.
Because I've seen in my childhood that Jallianwala section. So my point was to portray that particular incident and how I do it.
Yeah.
So it's both ways. It's a worldview or the character. In this film, it is purely character driven.
Can you give me an example of a film of yours where the worldview came first?
The film October.
October, right?
Yes.
Right.
So October was all about a comatose. What happened. Because that's the world. That's a world that you have to create around a comatose patient. What happens, and what happens if there is a love story there, but you don't know it's a love story or not. How somebody will. So that was first the world, and then we built in the character there.
Yeah, and I mean this in the sincerest way when I say that when I first walked out of October after the first screening, and I mean this as a compliment, I was like not really sure what to feel. I felt like Varun Dhawan because it was like, just like he's a little confused about what that emotion was.
Right.
My emotion was like I was in that vague space of, what did I just see? How did I put it together? What is like, and then it slowly started kind of coming together, and it's one of those movies that kind of, you take fragments of it and kind of put together, and I thought that was lovely about the movie. That was just lovely.
I think that's his style.
Yeah.
And I think from all his films that he's directed, I think Sardar Udham is the only one where he was truly dictating to you
Yeah.
the
How to-
story,
Yeah.
what to feel, how to feel. He was manipulating you in that, which is what directors do.
Yeah.
The rest of them, he just tells a story, and that's why I think he keeps saying, "I'm just documenting." A documentary is there should not ideally be a perspective
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
You're documenting.
Yeah, trying to be neutral.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think he just wants to show a life, and then now you take away from that what you want. And I think that's what he's tried in I Want to Talk. In some of the screenings, I've seen somebody who in a particular scene is chuckling away, and right next to them, somebody's crying. And when I spoke to them, everybody's taking their own personal, and I think that's his brilliance as a maker, that he's able to make a film where each individual is taking away their own unique experience from the film and deriving their own experience. That's also nice. You know, I think in today's day and age where there's so much chaos, so much hustle and bustle, it's nice to also be part of a film and make a film where you just get to sit quietly, breathe, and maybe experience some very pure emotions.
Right.
It's just that calm that also is nice in the middle of all of this wonderful other chaos that's going on, which I love. But it's nice to have this as well. And I think he's a master at that. You view all his films, even Piku. Some people said it's a movie about constipation, which is a big issue for a lot of people. Some people say it's a love story between a driver and a girl. Some people say it's a father-daughter. Some people say it's a story of coming home, the journey back home.
Yeah.
You see the film with these perspectives 4 times and you'll see that. But
It's all of the above.
you take away what you want. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. You know, you had this point where, you know, you were supposed to do Akhri Mughal and, you know, that got shelved, and then, you know, I'm sure there was some uncertainty within you what's happening, and then, you know, Refugee happened, and then you're doing your Doordarshan films, and then sometimes you have had like a film like Madras Cafe take about 6 years to kind of get to theaters. When these things happened, did you guys say, I want to talk? Did you go to someone and say, I want to talk?
Not at that point of time.
Okay.
No. At that point of time...
You were just internally processing it all yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
I think age helps, and the dumbness of youth really helps. You have this false sense of bravado, ki kuch na kuch to kar lenge, just plod along.
That was your thing?
Yeah. And,
So you didn't go to some father or mother or something?
I actually went to my father many years later.
Okay.
When I was going through a phase in my career where a lot of my movies were not working. The critics were panning my performances no matter who I worked with. And the reason I say who I worked with is because I worked with some of the biggest directors hoping that, okay, they'll teach me stuff and rectify stuff that I haven't managed to do. And just nothing was happening. And I eventually, at a weaker moment, which is embarrassing for me to think of now, I went to my dad and I said, I think we need to talk, and I think I've made a mistake. I don't think I'm cut out for this, because no matter what I do, isn't working. I've tried everything. I've tried all genres. I've tried all kinds of cinema. I've tried all kinds of filmmakers. And it's just, I'm not able to do it. And maybe it's time for me to be honest with myself and say, hey, you're not cut out for this. You're not good enough. Find something else to do. And I did go and speak to him about this. And he reassured me. He said, look, I'm talking to you as a senior, not as your father. You're nowhere near the finished product. You have a lot of improving to do, but I am noticing improvement in every film of yours. There's a hidden good actor within you. How good you become is up to you and how hard you want to work. The only way you're going to be able to polish your craft is by working. So go out there, whatever film you get, just sign and just work. And that's what I did. I just went out. I didn't care what kind of a role it was, supporting, secondary, tertiary. I did everything.
Nice.
Until I found the confidence in myself, and then until, from the box office perspective, I could deliver at the box office, and people started banking on me as a leading man again. So yeah, I went to my father. I mean, he's been a reference point to me always. So.
Right. And you?
For me, I always talked to my life partner, my wife Juma. So she's been my absolute, guide and a pillar. And when my daughters grew up, they became my, go-to mentors,
Right.
discussing with them because I've started trusting them more. So I still go to and talk to my wife, anything. On this film also I went and spoke and I pour my heart out and talk. And there is something in that conversation which comes out and I take and I put it out.
That also helps.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Any conversation can trigger you anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know.
And especially this kind of, the way you make your films.
Because that's also a relationship I am every day living with.
Right.
And that same thing I'm portraying in the film. So it's not any different.
Right.
I mean, I'm dealing with my daughter, I'm dealing with my office colleague, I'm dealing with my wife, and dealing with myself, with everyday life. So it will filter in or, show, will be seen in my films and work all the time.
So all this is happening. You have your writer Ritesh Shah. You worked for a few films with Juhi Chaturvedi, and then Ritesh has now done Udham and this film with you.
Right.
Tell me about how you write, because with normal screenplays, when I mean normal, I don't mean to dismiss them, but you know what I mean. When a typical narrative unfolds, then you know that this is cause, effect, this, that, all that kind of stuff is happening, right? But in your screenplays, they're so delicate sometimes that I wonder how much of it is you and how much of it is the writer, because regardless of the writer, there is some kind of unity everywhere. So how do you work with your writers?
Yes, I mean, you also can say that I'm also part of the writing team.
Right.
With whether it's Ritesh or Juhi or Shubhendu or Somnath Dey or whoever it is. But the fact is, the process is same. Like the way I work with actors, same with the writers also. For example, for this film, I remember when I was discussing because you'll have to, what is in my mind that has to go and translate. So when I was discussing, then one day Ritesh told me that does this film sound like Tuesdays with Maury? I said yes, you can think like that. Yeah, I mean, to me it's sounding like every Tuesday this grandfather and this granddaughter, I think she's talking, the both of them are talking Tuesdays with Maury. So I said, yeah, it could be. I mean, it was such a beautiful read for me. So he just came up with this word. I said, with this story. And I said, yeah, it can be. So that's the process. Basically, it is a lot of exchange. A lot of exchange. It's not that I come back with, okay, this is the scene, let's write the scene like this. This is the character. No, he is also process. So in the beginning, what happens is I jot down a lot of points that's in my head.
This is before the writer comes
Before the
in.
writer, no, before, yeah, even the writer comes in
Right.
also. I write down all the, and when we start discussing, so my process is an everyday discussion, and I go back and I will work on that discussion. I will jot down many points. The writer has yet not started on it. So it is the months of just discussion now. So now with that discussion, we have come to like these many pages of just pointers. Then I tell them, okay, now it is you. I have to somewhere maintain that, okay, this is a full stop. Because
Right.
otherwise I can keep going on.
Yeah.
There will not be any, he won't be able to start. So I tell myself, okay, whatever the next points come, other details, I'll keep it. I will later wrap it around in the script. But now let him be with this much material that we have in terms of our discussion. And then he jumps into it. Sometimes some writers share one scene. Okay, this is the same. Is the template right? And sometimes somebody will write, say, 20 or 30 pages and say, this is the thing. So what I did, for this film, I wrote some 5-6 pager in my whatever head it was. And Ritesh told me, don't send me anything. This is enough. Please don't fill my inbox with all your thoughts. So I understood that he doesn't want any more. He just wants to process this. So that's how I think. Then he processed, and then I came back with many other points, and then we all put it in the film.
Yeah.
So that's the.
He just spoke about, the way he works with actors. You worked with many directors. I'm sure there are many things you can talk about him, but if you were to single out one particular thing that you find particularly interesting about the way he works with actors, what would that be?
I think it starts with his faith in the talent that he chooses.
Right.
He trusts them for their talent. When that happens, then he lets them be. His prep for that is, instead of directing them, he very wonderfully creates the world in their head months in advance. And he just makes you inhabit that world mentally. And then he just lets you free on set. And that can only happen if he trusts the actors that he's working with and their capabilities. But for us on this film, several months before we started filming, we used to just sit and talk.
How many months?
I think almost 3 to 4 months before we started filming. I mean, we had decided to do the film and he was still writing and stuff. But prep was 3 to 4 months where we'd spend almost 2 hours every day just sitting and chatting about anything. Philosophy, life, politics, world affairs. I think he was in that process getting to know me, getting to know what I like, what I dislike, my triggers, my thought process, molding it to what he wanted his character to be like. And slowly, I think just sculpting the thought process of Arjunda. And I think in those 3 to 4 months, we must have read 2 scenes. That's it. We never ended up doing readings. We never read the script.
The process was not about reading.
Right.
The process was more about the understanding the world that I'm getting into.
Like before the first day of shoot in LA, I'd come down about 2-3 days in advance. And the day before the shoot, we were shooting in my house. And he said, come, we'll do rehearsals. So I said, okay, I showed up. And we didn't. We just sat, we had coffee, and we ate a burger. We were sitting, chatting. Obigda was doing something. We were just there. And I realized very quickly that he's not here to rehearse. He just wants me to become comfortable in this environment. And the next day when I came, it wasn't like, oh, first day on the set, set kafi acha hai. Look, a very good production design there. Yeah, this is home. I knew where everything was. I knew where the kitchen was. I knew what was in the fridge, everything. Because we'd walked through it, talked, this, that. Khana khate hai, fridge mein kya rakha hai, chalo kholo. So the next day when I came, that house felt lived in.
Right.
And there was ownership over it.
Right.
So that's his process, which I thought was very unique and very nice.
So, Shoojit, in one interview, I can't recall which one, you said you wanted Abhishek to surrender unconditionally. What does that phrase mean, surrender unconditionally? Isn't that kind of what, I kind of first thought, isn't that what every actor does to a director? But what else does one do in the Shoojit Sircar universe?
Sometimes you need to bare yourself naked completely, bare, absolutely. So if you see the poster itself, it conveys a lot of what I say, that nakedness, that an actor is not, his inhibitions you can't see. It's just, you see one man who is standing, possibly don't know, he's frowning there, and he's got a mark and his stomach is out. So he's opened himself completely. So what I mean by unconditional case is that you're not carrying any baggage with you. So my preparation was also like that. So my preparation was that are you free? Are you free here completely? Right. Because if you're not free, sometimes we are conscious about our body also.
Right.
So first thing was to get him out of this. And you see, when you see the film, you will see how he's not bothered about anything. He's not bothered about his body, he's not bothered with his makeup, he's not bothered about what is around. He's just Arjun Sen there.
Right.
So you have to free the actor and, really shackle him out from there and, put him there in that position. But he's not worried. Even the cameras, sometimes he would ask me where the cameras are, and I said, you perform. I have just put my cameras here and I will just pick it up. You don't worry. So that was also my process with him. So I didn't make him conscious with the camera, okay, I'm doing it like this. I kept it open.
Right. So just taking off of this, Abhishek, is it, that phrase that people use, some people use, actorly vanity. Directors often talk about stripping an actor of their vanity, and they don't mean vanity as in vain, as a bad thing, but just that actors have their...
That's a large part of our cinema,
Yeah. So is that part of what he did, is to kind of strip you of your vanity in that sense?
No, I think part of the reason why he might have chosen me is that he knew I was comfortable shedding my vanity.
Okay.
I mean, I've been doing it since I think maybe Guru.
Okay.
It was the first time I did it.
Right, that's a big stomach movie as well.
And I mean, I've done several films after that, be it The Big Bull, Bob Biswas or whatever. It's something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those actors who's possibly at that point in time was in that phase that, oh, it has to be about body beautiful. And no, I've been somebody who's always believed in, you got to look the part, you got to be the character. And I think I'd like to believe one of the reasons he chose me is that he said, okay, here's somebody I know who's going to jump in both feet first. And I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think one of the first questions he asked me after he offered me the film, he's like, look, I want that pot belly, and are you willing to do that? I said, absolutely. I was very convinced of him, firstly, because I know he's going to do it in a particular way. There's an aesthetic over there already. And the character required it. I've always said, for example, I've shown my stomach in, say, I Want to Talk or in Guru. I didn't in Dhoom, which actually warrants that. But my reasoning there was the character of, Jay Dikshit, ACP Jay Dikshit, is a tough cop. He's not going to be walking around shirtlessly. He's not that guy. If anything, he'll have a vest, and he doesn't need to show his body to assert his power.
Yeah.
That was my thinking. Sometimes people get that, sometimes people don't. But it's important that I get it.
Right.
Because I need to portray it.
Yeah.
So in this, there's a scene where he's literally just in his underwear, and in the bathroom. And he said, are you going to be comfortable doing that? I said, yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't I be? I mean, at home, when you're in the bathroom, you're either in your birthday suit or you're in your underwear. I mean, nobody wears a tuxedo into the bathroom. So that's what the character required. That's what the situation required. And I was very happy to do it. And I think that was one of the reasons why he said so. Vanity has never been a strong point.
Right.
I think now I've reached a point where I'm getting very comfortable with not being vain, and that's bothering me now. You know what I'm saying? I've done that. I've been through that.
You're aging in reverse.
Possibly.
It's like,
Possibly. I've done that. What's challenging to me now? Abhishek, put on 105 kilos for the act. No problem. Done it. Bhai haath ka khel hai. To do the quintessential hero is something I haven't done in close to 10 years now.
Which is the last one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's the point. Now I'm ready for something like that. That's my new challenge now. So I'd probably look for something like that next. Possibly, I don't know. I'm waiting for the film to release, and then I'll get time to just spend time with myself and decide my next few steps. Right now, we're all caught up with the euphoria of releasing a film. But like I said, I think this whole phase of throwing the mirror out of the window with your vanity, I think now, okay, I'm very comfortable doing that now. But you can't become comfortable with just that. You have to have a wide spectrum and a variety that you can do. And now I think it's important for me to explore this because I find this challenging now.
This is very different. It's like you hear like I've done all the the usual roles. Now I want to do unusual roles, and he's like
I've been lucky, right? I mean, how many actors get to say that?
Yeah.
I mean, I started my career with Refugee. 7 years into my career, I did a movie like Guru with Mani sir,
Yeah,
and then I've done a Bol Bachchan. I've done a Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I've done Ravan. I've done Yuva. I've done Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. I've done, like I said, Bol Bachchan. I've done Man Marziya. I've worked with
Bluff Master.
Bluff Master. Yeah. I've done I Want to Talk. How lucky, right? Yeah. How lucky. How many actors can say that people had the faith in me to portray these variety of characters? I think I'm lucky.
One of the things that's been repeatedly coming about this movie is that this is about the emotions that one wants to talk about with family, but rarely talk about. Why do you think that we find it easier to talk to other people than to family?
Yeah, that's what I think I'm trying to discover in this film.
In this film?
Yeah, in this film too. And another thing that I was discussing in some other discussion, it came up, and I just wanted to highlight that we as fathers, and especially men, there is something is odd in terms of communicating and bursting out completely and pouring our heart out, or what we want to do. If we want to hug, we somehow restrain, and we're not talking. Something stops us. I don't know what it is. Yeah. So I'm exploring that. Especially with daughters at home, with mothers, with wives. Women are not, as he says, women are more motherly and they do more, they understand that. We men are somewhere lacking and that gap remains. So I'm exploring that in this film. Why I'm, by the time you reconcile, 20 years have passed.
Yeah.
You know, so, and especially men I'm talking about. And me being a father of 2 daughters. So that's what I feel is that I'm reconciling in this film. And I hope my daughters watch it and let me see what they say.
But have you discovered the answer to that question? I said, why we don't do this that much?
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's somewhere it's a men's block. Maybe the conventionally, how we are grown up, how we grew, you know, in terms of, for example, I would just put this case, for example, when I was young, I would see my mother in her periods, will just sit by one corner and lie on the bed, and I would not understand why she is doing that. And I thought she was not well, but still she will somehow get up and cook, and it was her menstrual cycle. I didn't know about it, but no, I didn't understand what this pain was. I saw my sisters also going through that, but then still I didn't know what can I do there. I could not help them anything. I could have cooked something for them. Then my daughters grew up. Their period cycle started. Their menstruation started. So now I want to celebrate that, you know, that, but still that pain that they go through, I cannot do anything about it.
Right.
We don't.
We don't know how to. I think that sensitivity chip is not.
So that
is very difficult. I think by and large men find it very difficult to be that demonstrative about empathy. We feel it. We don't know how to demonstrate it. It's not that we don't care or hota nahi hai. I don't know. I think
Is that a generalization though?
it is.
Okay.
It is because
no,
it's
I don't
the
know.
truth.
No, I may not.
No. There are always
lot,
going to be
yeah.
exceptions to
Right,
the rule,
yeah,
but both ways.
Yeah, both ways, yeah.
But by and large, men I think find it a lot more difficult to express. I'm not even getting to the whole societal pressures of, you know,
Being a man.
Yeah, being a man and being macho, or you know, men don't cry and all that. I think we're evolving from that, but slowly. But by and large, men don't have that. We find it, a lot of men find it very difficult, and I think fathers, especially once you become a father, and not just with daughters, I think more so with sons.
There's always that.
Because after a while, men compete. We're born competitors. It was survival of the fittest. When we were all cavemen, if you didn't go out there, you didn't hunt, you didn't get that food, you were going to die. So men are competitors. So somewhere you become competitive with your own progeny. Somewhere. I'm glad we're moving away from that as we evolve and we become more sophisticated. But I think that's a man problem. I think that's one of the themes he's exploring in this film.
Yeah.
That, you know, I want to talk is also a message saying, Rhea, I want to tell you what you mean to me.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I want to show you, I can't, I want to, okay, maybe I'll try and demonstrate it.
And this is my medium of expression.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
So I think the traditional middle class father, for example, gets up in the morning, goes to work, earns the bread, comes back, and in his head, that's me showing my love to my family, because I'm doing that day in and day out, sun, rain, whatever. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm solid. I'm there. And we never interpret it like that. What do we interpret it as? You're never around.
Yeah, never around. Yeah.
So, you know, to complete what I was saying about that, my daughters also went through those menstrual pain and I was helpless. I could offer them medicine. I learned a lot of medicine. How can I help them? But maybe that pain that I saw from my mom, to my sisters, to my wife, to my daughters, maybe that has taught me something now that I've reconciled with. That pain that though they go for years and years, every month for 5 days, we men won't be able to understand that. I don't think that's difficult to process. Very, very difficult to process.
Right.
It's not a fault though.
Yeah.
No.
And I know what you're saying. So this is really, you know, so from, I mean, the little bit of conversation that we had here is kind of telling me what kind of film to expect, because it is therapy actually. It's kind of a form of.
It is what you make it out to be, like we said. You know, he's just going to make a film and you take away what you want.
What you want. And so all the best with the film. I really look forward to it, and it's been delightful talking to you.
We must talk after you've seen the film.
Yeah. And we need to talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we'll need to talk. Not
All right.
want to talk.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.